Hi Stampers, happy Tuesday. Thanks for joining me. Just pulling this up on my trusty iPad so I can make sure I keep everything on screen there, and so if anyone decides to chat that I can see your comments. Let me see if I can get my lights right so there's not too much of bad shadows. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so welcome in. My name's Jana Williams. I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And let me just bring this in. This is the address to my shopping site if you'd like to shop with me if you don't already have a demonstrator. And this is my April host code. So if you place an order under 150, please use that code at checkout. And 150 or more, you would be your own host and earn rewards for that. So then you wouldn't want to use that code. And if you do use the code and spend over $35, I will be sending you a thank you gift the following month. You can always find my current code at the landing page too there on my online store. So I'm going to be using the Free as a Bird stamp set today, and I found a kind of fun card sketch on Pinterest. I look for those, and I have a board, a card sketch board, so I save them to that. And if I just, am needing a quick idea, I like to run through those once in a while and see if there's something there that sparks my interest, and this time there was. So I'm going to give that card sketch a play, and then I'm using this wonderful paper that is going away. So you should be able to find this on the Last Chance product sale in my online store. This is called Forever Greenery Designer Series paper. And I know there's a lot of people who find a paper very similar to this one right here. They kind of refer to it as that paper. And I've seen a lot of talk of people buying it at a well-known crafting store that has the initials HL. And they go and buy this by the numbers, this paper. I don't think it's exactly the same, but it's pretty darn close. So in this pack, not only do you get that very similar paper, but you get a lot of more other wonderful ones as well. But that is pretty paper. I think it's all about that sort of, well, it's pretty peacock is our color, but it's that pretty teal color in there. So I'm going to use papers out of there. I'm also going to use a couple of the circle dies here, the two middle sizes actually from the Stitched Shape dies. And with this set you get squares, ovals, and circles, and now these dies are also being retired. So this is a good practical set to have in your stash because you get all those different shapes and sizes of them. So check that out if you're interested, and yeah, that's on the Last Chance sale too. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to use this cute bird stamp right here. Let me bring in my papers. So for my card base, I have an 8.5 by 5.5 piece of soft sea foam, and I've got it scored there at 4 1/4. So I'm going to be making a side fold card, and I'm just going to give that a burnish there. So soft sea foam, and then I've got a layer here of garden green. Now I did follow the colors that are listed on the back of the package of paper, because I wanted to be able to match up with my patterned papers. So I've cut this layer just 1/8 of an inch smaller than the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I went down 1/8 of an inch smaller. And then the inside layer, I cut a couple of pieces because I'm going to be chopping these papers up. But let me measure this one for you and tell you what size this is. This is 3 3/4 wide by 5. And I've got some leftover pieces here that I cut when I was making this card already. There's a circle that I cut out. I used Pretty Peacock for that. And then I'll be stamping the design on here and cutting that out with the smaller circle. But let's focus on these. So I'm gonna mix and match with the other scraps that I had left over here. And it looks like they're all the same, and that's okay because I'll be cutting these up. So let me bring my trimmer in. And the first thing you want to keep in mind is the way your paper goes. So you wouldn't want to turn this sideways, I wouldn't think, with that design. So you want to keep in mind the direction of the design on your paper. And there's that pretty piece. Okay, so I'm just looking at, all right, I think I'm going to go with this one first. No, I'm not. I'm going to go with this one first because I need 3 pieces of paper and 1 piece is going to go across the bottom of my card. So that's why I'm looking at the direction of this paper. And that cut that goes across here is going to be 1 1/2 inches wide. So let me just cut that piece first. Okay. So you want to think in terms of your whole piece of paper here, because once you cut some of these up, you know, they're all going to be the same sizes, and that's when you can mix and match. So I've got this piece cut at 1 1/2 inches, and then we're going to cut a piece from the side of this one that measures 1 1/4 inches. So let me go ahead and do that. And it doesn't really matter which side. I'm going to turn it upside down because I'm going to go ahead and cut it from this side over here. And I want this 1 1/4 inches. So I have that strip. And then it leaves us with this chunk, which is 2 1/2. Now, after making my first card, I have found that I would just like to trim the tiniest little sliver of this side off. So we've got 2 1/2. I think I'm going to take it down just 1/8 of an inch and trim that much off of that piece. You don't have to, but I kind of like that little bit bigger of a gap. So what it leaves us with here, and I'll cut the other piece up too, is this. And we're going to be spreading it apart and leaving a gap between them. So cutting that little bit of 1/8 of an inch off is going to leave just that extra bit that is necessary. And I'll show you the difference after I finish this card as to the one I previously made. I didn't have quite enough room to leave the same size of a gap. So let me set those pieces aside and we'll cut this one. So I'll do the same thing. I'm going to cut 1.5 inches off the bottom. And then I need to cut 1 1/4, and I can measure over here on this side of my trimmer as well. So I'm going to cut 1 1/4. So there's that side, and then I'm going to just take 1/8 of an inch off of this piece. And that was 2.5, right? So we're going to take it down. There we go. And with my other one, I have another one over here. I'm going to go ahead and do that too in case I decide I want to use this piece. I'll cut that 1/8 of an inch off. Hi! Hi, thanks for joining me, and thanks for saying hi to me on the chat. I really appreciate that. Now, do you go by Gigi or do you go by something else? All right, so we have this piece that I can pick from, and of course, don't forget that there's front and back to these patterns. Okay, Gigi, thank you. And then I've got this piece, and this is just, I don't know what this one was left over from, but it's not quite right. So it's not the right size to use, and the pattern's going the wrong way to use it that way. I guess you could use it that way if you wanted to, but then the leaves are going sideways, which is kind of weird. So now I just want to pick and choose. I know I'm going to use this one, okay? And I like the back side of that. I think I will use that and maybe like this. So let me just play around with it a bit. Really, I just want to play with this piece, I think. Not crazy about that. I do like the stripe, but I used the stripe on my first card, so I kind of want to do it up different. So I think I'm going to go with that. I think I'm going to go with that. So now I have all these parts and pieces that I can mix up for the next time I want to make this card. So then I'm going to bring back in this layer here of the garden green, and let's get this put on there. So let me put it on here, and I can kind of give you the idea here. You want to leave even borders, and then you need to match up, and it'll be so much easier when I'm actually sticking it down. You want to match up your borders. So that's what it's going to look like. So see why I cut that extra little 1/8 of an inch off of this one here, because without cutting it off, it leaves your borders being a sliver like that, and it doesn't match up with the rest. So you kind of need to cut that extra 1/8 of an inch off. Okay, so let me pull those to the side, and I'll start getting this glued on. Oh, I forgot to bring, and I wasn't going to use this either. I was going to use liquid glue. I'll have to grab my bottle. I had 2 bottles open over here, and they both ran out right about the same time. Okay, so let me turn it back around. And so I'm trying to gauge the sides, my border on the sides, and make the bottom border about the same. And that is looking pretty much even to me, so down it went. Okay, let me grab my liquid glue, because that'll give me just a little more wiggle room. And this is Liquid Tombow. It's awesome glue. Tombow Mono Multi-Liquid Glue is actually the full name. And it's got this nice fine tip, and then it has this kind of wide tip. There's a hole right in the middle of it, but that's kind of so you can smear around a lot at one time. I never use that tip, but it's there if I wanted to. Okay, let me do this piece next, I think. Have to be careful when the bottle is brand new like that. It comes out way easier than when it's down to the bottom of the barrel. Okay, so now I want to line up there, and I want to get my border. I'm not going to have quite as wide of a border at the top, but that is okay. You know, that does not bug me. You could always lay it out and put pencil marks and really get fussy about measuring if you wanted to, but that's not me. Okay, so there is that piece. And then this one. Oh, Gigi, I have been a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator for 2 years now, and prior to that, okay, well, let me go back quite a ways. I think it was in the very early 90s. I signed up. I was debating between Close to My Heart and Stampin' Up. Those were, you know, the two main ones. And I already had a friend that was a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And the other thing back then was you had to put your stamps together. They just came all unassembled, and you had to cut them out, and you had to actually cut the rubber out and all that. And I thought, I didn't like that. And since I had a friend that was already a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I thought, well, I'll do Close to My Heart. So I did. I signed up with Close to My Heart, and I did that for like 20 years. And I know the gal that owns Close to My Heart, her focus is scrapbooking. That's never been my focus. I've always just been into stamping and other paper crafting, and I never got into the scrapbooking. So anyway, I'm turning this into a long story, but it just got more and more and more into the focus being scrapbooking. And so along comes Fun Stamper's Journey, FSJ. Well, it was way more, it was all about stamping and paper crafting, and I just fell in love with it. And so I quit Close to My Heart after all those years, and I'm inking my stamp up with black Memento, Tuxedo Black. And I joined Fun Stamper's Journey. Well, in no time at all, that company basically kind of went down the drain. It's combined with Spellbinders now, and they quit doing having demonstrators, and so that was a whole big thing, and so I got out of it. And then the person that I signed up under, Jo Rao, who is a friend of mine that lives here where I live, she kept asking me, you know, why don't you do Stampin' Up? So finally I gave in, because I thought I'm just not going to be a demonstrator anymore. But I caved. And so I signed up, and I just love this aspect of it. I love doing the videos and you know, helping people learn how to stamp. So yeah, long story. All right. So now I've got all these blends that I'm bringing in. It looks like a lot, doesn't it? I just only want, I'm going to do these 3 little birds because I'm going to be die cutting those out with a circle die. So I think I'm gonna start with the branch because for some reason that's how I roll. So I'm gonna use cinnamon cider, and I'm going to use the light cinnamon cider. Our markers come in packs of 2, a light and a dark color of the same color, and that just makes it so easy to, you don't have to think about it. And you can always, if you want a darker color, which I'm going to use today, I'm bringing in bronze because I wanted 1 level darker, not on the branch, but when it comes to coloring the birds. So you can always still go darker or lighter and use a different color, but there's just not as much thinking about what colors go together because they automatically go together. And I don't have to color that whole thing because I'm going to be cutting this out. And so I'm just letting you know that it's not because I sell these things, honestly, because I have Copics and I have Spectrum Noir. I still have them. I never got rid of them. And I grab these. I love how they color. They're so easy, and I just really enjoy using them. So I think for the investment, if you were thinking about investing in alcohol markers, give these a thought because they're just really nice to use. They have a nice brush tip on one end, which I love the brush tip. And then they have this nice bullet tip on the other end. All right. So now I can go back over that just a little bit. I don't really need it. This is such a small area and skinny that you don't have to do a ton of blending on this. Now, I don't know what kind of birds these are. So I just make up my own bird, okay? It's like, I don't know. I just want them to look a certain way. So I don't know if there's a bird even colored like this, but this is how my bird's gonna be. So I am using the light and dark So Saffron, and I'm going to make these birds have a little yellow top knot. It sounds like a real bird. Seems like I've seen real birds that have a little yellow top knot on their head. And I'm sure this is probably some sort of supposed to be after a realistic bird, but I don't know. Okay, now I'm using the dark So Saffron, and I am just putting some darker color where the lines are indicating, you know, the shading lines are on there already. And I wanted it, even though it's a tiny, tiny area, I wanted it to have just a tad bit more definition. So I'm coming in with dark Daffodil Delight. And I'm gonna go right into that same area and put that there. Okay. So now, let's go ahead and color the bird's body. So what I have for that is the light and dark crumb cake, and then this is where I'm going to come back in with the bronze. I think they're all colors. I really do. I mean, you can find pretty much all colors of birds in nature, so Somebody might look at this and say, oh, she colored it like the, oh, what kind of name should we make up for it? The yellow-headed songbird that lives out on the plain. Who knows? Yellow-headed songbird. I think that's what we should call it. So I'm just coloring his whole body here with the light crumb cake. This little bird here that I'm coloring, he's had a few extra worms. He kind of takes after me. He's fluffy. All right. Oh, I colored it. Look at that. I used the wrong one. I used dark. Okay, that's all right. So I'm going to come in here then in the middle of their belly, since I used the dark by mistake. And I'm going to lighten up the middle. It can be fixed. And if you want, if I wanted it lighter, I could come in with the color lifter. There's also a color lifter or blender, but it's referred to as the color lifter, and you can really, if you make a mistake and go outside of the line, you can come back in and fix that. Okay, now I'm using the bronze, and I'm gonna do my blending here along the outside of the bird and where the marks indicate. Oh, I think these little yellow-headed songbirds are going to be just fine. Let me take a peek at what my dogs are doing. Hey, what are you guys doing? Uh-oh, one of them has one of Ken's shoes. I best grab that real quick. Hang on just a second. Nope, you can't chew up Dad's shoes. That's not a good idea. Not a good idea. Come in here with me. Come on, guys. Sorry. Tula is still a puppy. She's only 6 months, and Todd's 2, so he's kind of still a puppy too. So they get into some mischief. All right, kind of liking that. Now let me bring my light, and I'll just blend this ever so slightly, just so there's not a harsh line there. So even though I used the wrong color in the beginning, it's all going to come out okay in the end. Okay, now let me bring that bronze back, and I'm going to do their little beaks with that. I didn't want to do them with the yellow because their head is yellow. Kind of liking the bronze there for their beaks. Okay, now the leaves and the little flowers. And I have to tell you, we've got my neighbor, one of my neighbors over here next door, she's got trees that bloom out. I don't know if they're Japanese cherry trees or what they are, but they've got the beautiful pink blossoms on them. I'm going to start with light shaded spruce, and I'm making sure I'm using my light one this time. But they're just gorgeous, and so I thought I don't know what kind of tree this is supposed to be either, but I'm giving it little kind of cherry blossom looking flowers on it. Oh, thank you, Gigi. I appreciate that. I am no expert on coloring, that is for sure. I just, I just have fun with it, that's all. That has always been my focus of stamping, even as a demonstrator stamping. I mean, it's my thing. I do it as a small business too, but the main focus for me is the fun. So I won't ever let anything interfere with the fun aspect of it for me, because that is what I enjoy. That it's my fun thing. So all right, now I'm coming in with the dark shaded spruce, and I'm just going in where the lines and stuff are. And some of these leaves are turned up a little bit so you can see the underneath. And I'm going to make that area dark also. I think sometimes the underneath of a leaf is lighter, but my leaves are going to be a little bit darker under there. I kind of like that they did that, whoever the artist was that did this, that they made those leaves curl, because I thought that was pretty. And probably nobody would even look at it and say, oh, look at that detail. But as you're coloring it, you notice. And then I will just blend this out a little bit here. But I'm not blending on the part that's turned up, because I want it to stay that little bit of dark. Okay, there's that. And then the flowers. So I'm using dark petal pink. And let me bring my die in so I can actually see what's going to be cut out. So I don't need to color things that aren't even going to be in the picture. So really I only need to color those two flowers up there. So I'm just going to color the two flowers with the light, or the dark petal pink. And then this is dark flirty flamingo. And I'm just going to touch it a little bit, kind of at where the inside of the flower would be, and down at the bottom, at the base of the flower. And then I'm going to blend that back out. And there we go. Okay, so let me bring my die back in here. And I've got a piece of Post-it tape. Did you want me to hold that up there? You can kind of see it a little better. Okay. Got to make sure the birdies are all in there. Guess we will go with that. And I'm just going to hold that die in place so it doesn't slip around after I've spent time coloring there. We don't want it to mess up. So let me cut this out. I have to go rescue a shoe again. Hey. Leave Daddy's shoes alone. This is my husband's late week, or he would be home to be babysitting them, but he's not here yet. And I don't think he wants to come home to chewed up shoes. All right, so there is the sweet little birds. And now we can start putting this card together. I've got a piece of white for the inside, and I cut a 1/2-inch strip of this pretty paper. I can use, well, I don't want to use that side, so I'm going to use this one. Let me bring my silicone mat in here. Which way does this look like? It goes that way to me, maybe. Nope, this way. I'm looking at these, well, they go both directions. So I'm going to go this way with it. So they are called Stampin' Blends, Gigi. Stampin' Blends. And like I said, you get a light and dark in the pack, and I believe they are $9 for both of them, right around that. Okay. And I like to leave just a little bit of a white border and not put this all the way down to the bottom. That looks decently straight. And I just let it go over the edges on both ends, and I will snip those off. I'm not going to be putting a greeting on the front of the card, and I just thought these cards would be kind of fun for to send any, you know, for any time, not just a special occasion. So I really liked from the set the sentiment that says the world needs more of you. So that's the one I'm going to use. I thought that would be kind of fun too for sending out happy mail. Because who wouldn't want to get a card that says that inside? It's like, aw. You could also send it basically as a thank you card if somebody did something sweet for you. The world needs more of you. Okay, I hope I'm getting this straight. All right, so we can go ahead and get that put on the inside. Uh-oh. Playing's getting a little rough in there, I think. Okay, there we go. So now here is the front and the bird, and I want to add some ribbon. So I'm using the Flowers for Every Season ribbon combo pack, and this ribbon is carrying over, so it will be in the new catalog, and you get these 3 spools, this really pretty, I think this is like Seaside Spray. Doesn't say on here, but I think that's what color this is. And it has and white, and it's got that silver thread through it, and then the fun gingham, which I'm going to use, and then it's got a nice woven white, and I'm also going to use this. Okay, so let me just put a little bit of adhesive on each side here to catch my ribbon ends. Oops, dropping scissors. Let me grab another pair. Okay, and let me bring this back in since I have adhesive on the back there. And I'm going to put it about halfway down this section. Okay, now I can attach this to the front of the card. I mean to the base. And I like to roll right over the top of that ribbon on the back side to just kind of help, oopsie, have a little extra stick there. So like I said, if you missed it in the beginning, I found this, it was just called Free Card Sketch. I found it on Pinterest. If you just go in and search card sketch, you'll get all kinds of patterns of, or layouts, however you want to call them. They're called card sketches, to follow if you are like not wanting to think of something yourself, or you're just, you know, we all get in that kind of lack of mojo thing or creative block, and it just, if nothing else, it just helps spur up your own idea, right? So, okay, I'm going to use this twine on the top of this, and I'm just going to make a knot bow. So let me just cut a piece. I think it'd be easier than trying to do it with them still on the spool. I don't need a really giant piece. I like that added little bit of sparkle that's in that twine. And I'm probably going to have to do a little bit of twisting to make that come out on the top. Okay, I'm gonna get it. I know I can do it because I did it once before. Okay, so there it is. And now let me just trim these. Thank you so much. Okay, now I want the other side end to be going the opposite direction. There we go. And then I kind of just want to unravel this a little bit, the twine part. Okay, so now then, let me get my glue again. I'm going to glue this pretty peacock circle down flat. It's gonna go right there. And I'm popping up the little bird part. And then I'm going to attach this bow with glue dot. And I always like to use 2. And then of course, got to have some bling. So I'm just going to use my basic rhinestone jewels here. And I think I need to order some more because most of the bigger ones have been used. There's 3 sizes on here and I want one of each. So I'm going to grab a big one. And right there it's going to go. And here's a medium one. My putty on my pickup tool's kind of off to the side here a little bit. There we go. And then a small one. I like to do the graduated sizes when you're going up like a circle. What do you think? I like it. I'm happy with it. I'll bring out the first one that I made so you can see. Okay, so here's the first one, and it's got totally different papers. I colored the birds the same and I did everything else the same, except for I had not trimmed that extra 1/8 of an inch off of this piece right here. And so my border here was much wider than this one here. I like it better being able to have that extra little bit of space. And I could have come down a little bit further on this card and left a little bit bigger gap there. But you know, I honestly don't think anybody's gonna, who receives this is going to look and say, oh, you know, this border's a little bit smaller than that one. No, they're not gonna do that. I don't think they would do that anyway. But yeah, same card, different papers. I like them both. Yellow-headed songbirds of the prairie. Oh, who knows? Anyway, here is again the address to my online store, the host code for April, and again you can find that on the landing page when you get there too. So you can be able to copy it and paste. There's a box at checkout to put this code. And like I said earlier, when you spend $35 before shipping and taxes with me, I will send you a thank you gift the following month. But use this code for all orders up to $150. $150 and over, don't use that code because you're going to earn free gifts. Now make sure you check out what's been added to the clearance rack and also what is available on the last chance sale. I'm pretty sure there's still some of this paper there. And the new catalog will be available to order from on May 4th. That's coming up faster. Well, probably not fast enough for some of us, but it will be here before you know it. So just enjoy just enjoy the spring weather in the meantime, and using the stamps you have, and then you can get ready to make your list out of that new catalog. There's some awesome things in there. So thank you so much for joining me today, you guys. I really appreciate it. If you are a first-time viewer, I would just be very appreciative if you would hit that subscribe button and give me a thumbs up. That helps grow my channel, and then you will be notified too of, if you hit the little bell after you subscribe, you'll be notified of upcoming videos. I do my live videos here on YouTube on Tuesdays at 5 Pacific time. And then I do a live video on my Facebook page at 2 o'clock on Tuesdays. And my Facebook page is JannaStamps also, just like it is JannaStamps here on YouTube. So you can find me there. And until I am back again, happy stamping, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.